Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining us. Today we're going to go through a simple one light setup. You can set this up in your living room as I have here. I'm going to run through a few different options, so budget lighting and proper budget, medium range and then high end. I'll tell you all the camera settings, all the lighting settings, so you can get everything you need to get started shooting one light portraits or one light photography on your own. Let's go. Okay, so here we are in the living room. I'll show you what we've got set up here. So I have this stand. I'm going to pop my light on here. I have a grey backdrop. This is 4 foot wide with a stand and the backdrop poles. And I have a white reflector which also has black on the other side. And I'll run through the benefits of using a reflector and some negative fill. Once we get our light set up, I'll talk through all that as well. Let me show you the lighting options that I've got today. Also, I have roped the lovely Helen in to be my model today. She's going to model for us. She's got a YouTube channel as well. It's HMF Yoga. She's uploaded hundreds of yoga flows. This is currently being filmed in lockdown, so I'm roping in my partner to do this for me. Yes, the lights, let's go. So the first option we're going to use is this speed light. This is a Canon 430EX Mark II. This is actually quite a good one, pretty high end. I'm going to be using these with a softbox, a Niwar softbox, but we'll get to that. That's your entry level option. That's the sort of light that most people start with, so that can either sit directly on the camera, or if you use a couple of little remote triggers, I'll link them here. You can then take the flash off your camera and set it off camera flash, and that way you can start adding softboxes, different things like that to shape the light and to give different effects. Speed lights can start from anywhere from £60, I think, probably even cheaper on eBay, anywhere up to a few £100, which brings us to our medium option. This is the Elinchrom D-Light RX4. I have a review on these up on the channel, it's linked up there in the cards. Brilliant mid-range lighting. Loads of different softboxes, loads of different umbrellas, loads of different attachments and light shaping tools are available for those. And when you get into those mid-range lights, you really start to get into the sort of higher quality of lighting. Also, the advantage with those Elinchroms is that you can start to shoot at faster shutter speeds. That's a different topic. I'll get to that in a second once we've gone through our top range option, which is the Profoto B10 Plus. Now, I've got a review on these up on the channel as well as an unboxing. Amazing, but you're talking thick end of £4,000. Very fortunate that I can then rent these out to clients and kind of pay for them then. So really, once you're doing professional commercial photography, that's when you want to start thinking about investing in those sort of lights. But that's 3 easy steps to get you there. I just mentioned shutter speed. Now, I get a lot of questions about this, and this is definitely something that I struggled with when I first started using flash, is something known as curtain drag. So when your shutter comes up, there's basically 2 curtains which slide across the sensor, and if you're shooting at a faster shutter speed than 2/50th of a second, then you'll start to get these big black lines in your photos. That is the curtain coming across and kind of interrupting your picture. So unless you're using something that can shoot at high speed sync, HSS, you might see the abbreviation, then you want to stick to either 200th or 1/60th of a second. That doesn't mean you can't get clear, crisp images, because, stick with me on this, the duration of the flash is so fast. The flash might only last 2,000th of a second, so that's kind of giving you that extra ability to freeze movement. I hope that all makes sense. Let's get on to light shaping tools. But before we get onto light shaping tools, about 80% of people who watch my videos aren't subscribed. So if you're watching this just now, just give a little scroll down. There's a little subscribe button. While you're there, you might as well hit like. Thanks for doing that. Just subscribe. Boop. There we go. Okay, light shaping tools, let's go. This is our light shaping tool of the day. This is the Niwar umbrella. It's like an octa shape. It's got 6 sides. It's an umbrella attachment. It gives a beautiful portrait light, and it is only £30. I really love the light that comes from this, and £30. You can't go wrong. It's linked below. Super mobile, super light, and yeah, just really handy to have in your kit. Okay, so for ease, I'm going to put the Profoto B10 on, but let me just run through this budget option that we've got here. As you can see, there's no attachment here to attach an umbrella. You need a little holder for the rod to go through. Now personally, I don't have one of those, but I will show a little picture of it here. They're pretty simple. They just screw on to the top of your stand here, and then they have like a hot shoe attachment for your light to attach to, but they also have a little holder for the umbrella to go through. So that opens up lots of different umbrella options if you're going lightweight and entry level with a speed light. So as this is a simple lighting setup, it doesn't matter too much the sort of level and quality of your light. We're going to be really simple. We don't need too much different adjustments and fancy things from the different lights. So you can easily do this with a 430EX or any other speed light. So it's really easy to just open up. This opens it, so you just pop your head through there. Zip that up so you don't get any spills. Here we are. Got the softbox set up in front of the grey backdrop there. I'd like to set it a little bit higher and just coming down on the model a little bit. Just gives a nice cast of light. You don't get too harsh a shadow under the eyes, but you get a little bit of definition there. And yeah, generally in front of the model, off to the left or right, a little higher. Also, 9 out of 10 times, if the flash is about 6 feet away from the model, you'll get a nice light. Now, the closer you move that light to the model, the smaller the area of illumination, and the further you move that light away, the more it's going to wrap round the model. These principles are basically known as the inverse squared theory. There's some fantastic videos on that and how to get a better understanding of how light behaves depending on how close or further away it is from your subject. One video in particular from a portrait photographer called Peter Hurley is really good. I will link it in the description below. So once you've watched this and once you've got to grips with how to use a flash, understanding how light behaves will give you a big advantage when you're going into new situations and when you have to light things. Maybe at short notice, maybe you're doing corporate headshots, maybe you're doing actor headshots or something like that. If you can understand how light's going to behave, that will help you out massively. Let's get the camera set up and let's get some photos taken. We're going to start at 200th of a second. 7.1 on the f-stop and ISO 100. I've got my flash set to about 2/3 power and I'm starting on a really low ISO, and then we might need to adjust that as we go, as we see how the light is behaving, but let's get on with it. I'm starting on a low ISO. We do have a lot of daylight in here and I could close the curtains, but I'm going to start on ISO 100, and starting on those current camera settings, the images are quite dark. And then I'm going to bring in light with the flash. I'm going to try and keep the flash at the same power to make it easy for you guys watching, and I'm going to adjust my ISO to make the images brighter or darker, whatever we need. I'm just going to take one image here, and I'm just going to take this shot with no flash on, just so we see just how dark it is with this current settings. It's pitch black. That is the actual image. So let's bring on the flash and see where we're at. Straight to the camera there, Hal. Bump. And we're getting a little brighter. So what I'm going to do is bump up the ISO a little bit to brighten that image, and then we'll get a proper look at how the light is falling from the umbrella onto Helen. I've bumped the ISO up to 320, so a few stops there. Let's take a shot. Hell, just into the lens here. And we're getting a much nicer image there. The light is falling on Helen quite nicely. For me, it's a little too sidey. We're getting a little bit of a straight line of lightness on her right hand side, and then it goes really dark real quick. So I'm just going to move the light a little bit. Okay, so I have moved our umbrella probably a foot. It was bumped up against the sofa there. I've probably moved it about a foot to the right. And let's get this shot of Helen here. So yeah, that turned out nice. Just by moving the flash there, I can see that I've got rid of the sort of darkness that was under Helen's left eye. And it's just kind of wrapping around her a lot nicer. So I will pop the camera settings here, but I'm on 200th of a second on the shutter speed. I'm on f7.1 and I'm on ISO 320. So you don't need to go crazy with your ISO to brighten up the image, and you can go on an f-stop of something like 7, 8, 9 and get all of the face in focus, rather than just going on a really shallow depth of field where maybe you've only got the nose or the eye and the ears are out of focus. It's quite nice to get the whole head in focus. So this has turned out quite nicely straight away. But one of the temptations that you might run into if your images are too dark or too light is to move the light itself further away or closer. The thinking is that if the light is closer, it's going to be brighter, and if it's further away, it's going to be darker. Now that is true, but also the distance of your light from your subject will affect how the light behaves. So as I mentioned before, if you move that light further away, it's going to wrap around your subject a lot more. But if you move it closer, the image itself isn't going to get brighter. All you're going to get is hot spots on your subject, where it's really bright, where the light is falling, and then really dark contrasty images. This might be something you're going for, but we're going for a nice, natural portrait look today. The image was a little dark at the beginning, and we've just bumped the ISO up a little bit to bring the whole image up nice and bright, and there we are. So now that we've got that covered, let's talk about using a reflector as well, because this can really add a lot to your image. So that's your typical reflector as we all know it. Sometimes this one's a bit grubby. My good one is down in the car actually. Some of them come with multiple backs. This has got gold, silver, white. It doesn't have black, which is very handy to have sometimes, so we're using this 1 by 1 meter square. This is from Calumet, but loads of different companies do this. I think Lastilite is probably the one that's most popular on Amazon, and I have a few different attachments. So here we have silver, we've got black, and on this side we've got white. Black, silver and white are usually the options that most people use. Silver generally comes in handy for really glossy, commercial looking images. It's a lot more powerful than white and has to be used with caution. Yeah, there's a lot of mistakes that can be made with reflectors, so maybe I'll do a video on that in the future. But for just now, we're just going to use black and white. I'm going to get Helen back in and I'll show you the effects of having white and black. Okay, so I've stood Helen in here. You can see we have our white reflector. Let's take a picture and see the difference. So basically, with the white on Helen's left hand side, we can see that it's filling in that shadow a little bit and reducing the contrast that we have there. So depending on what type of image you might want to go for, whether you want it nice and bright, you might go for a white, or if you want to emphasize that contrast, you might go for black. So let's take a quick picture with black and see how we get on. Okay, and you can't see it that great on the back of the camera, but I will flick it up on screen here. But basically you can see what a massive difference that black and white fills and reflectors have done. I just asked Helen to tuck her hair behind her ear, just so we can get a clear view of what those reflectors are doing. That pretty much sums up our shoot today. I hope I've covered everything. We've gone from the camera settings here, they've not changed too much. I'm on about 2/3 power of my flash. So whatever flash you've got, that's a good starting point. We started at ISO 100 and then we just worked our way into the image there. I hope I've listed enough settings and run through the basics there to help you guys get started on a one light setup, either with a studio backdrop or on location. Just a quick note, all the equipment used in today's video is linked below, and if you've got any questions on how to use certain parts of equipment, please let me know in the comments as well. I hope this has really helped you guys out and will help you get started on using flash in your photography. The one light setup is a great place to start. Once you've got a real good grip on that, then you can begin to introduce other light to bring on a different feel to your photography, but there's so much that can be done with just one light. So good luck, have fun. Grab whoever you're living with at the moment or yourself, set your camera on a timer and get playing about with this. Get your reflectors out, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.